Hello, this is Max. Today you will see a psychotic chef who tormented visitors and wanted to kill them.
The film begins with a depiction of a secluded island where a unique and exclusive restaurant attracts wealthy individuals seeking to rediscover joy in their lives. The chef, known for a shocking personal story, presents a dish symbolizing his father's tragic demise. Unbeknownst to the guests, their dining experience is about to take an unexpected turn. Prior to this, the story focuses on a young affluent man named Tyler who surprises his girlfriend, Margot, with a dinner date at the renowned Hawthorne restaurant. Situated on a private island and owned by celebrity chef Julian Slowik, the couple joins other elite guests, including a food critic and Hereditor, a movie star and his assistant, and 3 business partners. Richard and Anne, another wealthy couple, also join the group, with Margot seemingly having a connection to Richard. As the guests arrive on the island, they are warmly welcomed by the head waitress, Elsa, who guides them through a tour before leading them to the restaurant. The guests get a glimpse of the living quarters of the restaurant staff, described as a close-knit family working long hours. Finally, the guests enter the restaurant and take their seats, observing the meticulous work of the chefs in the open kitchen. Elsa requests that no photographs be taken, as Chef Slowik believes in the fleeting nature of his creations. Chef Slowik enters the kitchen and learns about Margot, Tyler's unregistered guest. It is revealed that Tyler had reserved 2 tables a year ago when he was in a different relationship, making Margot's presence technically unauthorized. Although displeased, Slowik decides to let it slide. Meanwhile, the 6-course meal begins with the presentation of the first dish. Tyler secretly captures a photo of the delicacy, but Margot remains unimpressed despite the oit elicits from others. The staff proceeds to serve the 2nd course, and Chef Slowik addresses the guests, emphasizing the importance of savoring and appreciating the food. Margot struggles to grasp the chef's monologue, but it unexpectedly moves Tyler to tears. Despite his fear of upsetting the chef, Tyler continues to discreetly take pictures of the dishes. Tyler expresses his admiration for the restaurant, while Margot criticizes the food, considering it to be mediocre. Following that, the chef serves the guests minuscule portions of 5 different sauces but refuses to provide bread, as he deems it peasant food. The businessmen find this absurd and demand bread, using their connection to the restaurant's financier as leverage. However, Elsa remains resolute and denies their request, asserting that they must eat what is served. Meanwhile, Margot disapproves of the dining concept and refuses to eat. This captures the chef's attention, and he approaches her to inquire about the issue. Margot candidly expresses her dissatisfaction with the lack of substantial food. In an awkward turn of events, the chef then approaches an older woman dining alone, revealing her to be his mother. Simultaneously, Margot becomes increasingly fixated on Richard, a wealthy man at the table. His wife, Anna, grows suspicious, but Richard dismisses her concerns swiftly. The chef proceeds to introduce the next course named Memory. He recounts a distressing incident from his past, describing a drunken altercation between his parents. The situation escalates, leading to Slowik's father attempting to strangle his mother with a telephone cord. Young Slowik intervenes just in time, defending his mother by stabbing his father in the thigh with scissors. While the guests find the story disturbing, they brush it off as possibly fictional. Subsequently, the guests are served house-smoked meat and tacos. To their surprise, each taco bears a printed image that triggers powerful memories. The food critic's tacos feature images of the restaurants she reviewed, while the movie actor's tacos depict his biggest flop. Similarly, the businessmen's tacos contain details of their illicit bank accounts. Shocked and alarmed, they immediately summon Elsa and demand an explanation regarding the sourcing of this information, even threatening to shut down the restaurant. However, Elsa refuses to divulge any information and walks away. Meanwhile, in his tacos display pictures of Richard alongside an unidentified young woman, prompting her to demand an explanation. Richard claims ignorance regarding the significance of these photos. Tyler's taco depicts him secretly photographing Slowik's food earlier. causing him to panic and consider apologizing to the chef. However, Margot is furious that Slowick would engage in such behavior, insisting on sending the food back to the kitchen. Tyler rudely intervenes, asserting his authority as the one paying for the dinner. Margot is upset by his response and walks away. In the restroom, Slowick encounters Margot and questions her presence, stating that she should not have been there that night. Later, Margot returns to her seat, and Slowick introduces his protege, Jeremy, who apparently created the next dish. After briefly praising Jeremy, Slowick abruptly changes his tone and begins speaking rudely. He claims that Jeremy can never become a great chef because he only desires to be an understudy. Shockingly, Jeremy commits a shocking act that leaves everyone shocked and horrified, but Slowick dismisses it as part of the show. Shortly after, as they return to their tables, Richard insists on leaving, ignoring Elsa's pleas for him to remain seated. The restaurant staff forcefully restrain him and proceed to sever his ring finger, shocking the guests. They are warned that any attempts to escape or disrupt Slowick's meticulously planned dinner will result in even worse consequences. Panic ensues among the guests, but an unaffected Tyler continues to enjoy his meal. Shortly after, Slowick summons Margot to the kitchen, once again questioning her identity. He demands that she confess because her unplanned presence is jeopardizing his carefully orchestrated dinner. Slowick reveals that everyone present will die that night. He gives Margot 15 minutes to decide whether she wants to perish with those who give or those who take. Shocked and frightened, Margot returns to her table in tears. Before the next course, Slowick allows the captive guests to ask him questions, and one man inquires about his motives. Slowick explains that he has grown weary of running his restaurant due to various reasons. He has lost his passion for cooking, and each guest at the table is somehow responsible for this. The food critic was invited because her scathing reviews have led to the closure of numerous establishments, while her editor is complicit in enabling her behavior. In the meantime, Richard and Anne are frequent patrons of the restaurant, yet they never appreciate the food. Slowick challenges the couple, daring them to name a single dish he has served them. He proceeds to share details about the mysterious benefactor, referred to as the Angel, who funded the establishment. It is revealed that outside the restaurant, Slowick has suspended the man above water, claiming that the individual possesses an unhealthy obsession with profits and has consistently disparaged the restaurant's menu. As everyone watches in horror, Slowick gradually lowers the man into the water, ultimately drowning him. After the allotted 15 minutes pass, Slowick summons Margot to his office and presents her with a decision to make. Margot argues that she doesn't belong there and requests to be allowed to leave. However, Slowick categorizes her as part of the staff, discerning that she doesn't come from a wealthy background. He proceeds to inquire about her relationship with Richard, noting her ongoing attention towards him throughout the evening. Eventually, Margot confesses that she is, in fact, an escort using the alias Saren. Richard was a former client who had generously compensated her in the past. Upon learning this, Slowick empathizes with Margot and mentions his own experiences with difficult customers. He reveals that his passion for cooking has dwindled and he no longer possesses the same fervor. Before presenting the next dish, Chef Slowick calls upon Tyler to explain his presence. Surprisingly, Tyler admits that he had been eagerly anticipating a meal at the restaurant for months and seized the opportunity even after being informed in advance that everyone would die. Tyler also discloses that he hired Darren to accompany him since he had booked a table for two, and without a companion, his reservation would have been canceled. Aaron becomes infuriated by this revelation and launches an attack, swiftly subdued by the intervention of the staff. Later on, Slowick summons Aaron to his office and requests her assistance in preparing the final course, the dessert. As the first task, he asks her to retrieve a barrel from the smokehouse, which she reluctantly agrees to do. Meanwhile, the movie star rises from his seat and demands an explanation for his punishment. Slowick reveals that he had watched the actor's film, Calling Dr. Sunshine, and despised it. He explains that he had seen it years ago on a busy Sunday, and the movie had completely ruined his mood. Slowick discloses that the memory of the actor's face in that film has haunted him ever since. Elsewhere, instead of going to the smokehouse as instructed, Erin breaks into Slowick's cottage and discovers a locked room. Attempting to gain entry, she is interrupted by Elsa, who confronts her with a knife. A struggle ensues, resulting in Erin accidentally killing Elsa. Although horrified by the incident, Erin regains her composure and uses Elsa's keys to enter Slowick's room. Inside, she discovers photographs and newspaper articles showcasing Slowick's achievements and accolades over the years. Most of the pictures capture his sadness and anger, except for one from his teenage days when he worked at a fast food chain and won the Employee of the Month award. Noticing a radio in the room, Erin seizes the opportunity to contact the Coast Guard and alert them about the situation. She then returns to the restaurant with the barrel. Slowick sits Erin down once again and explains that he is orchestrating this entire ordeal because being a chef should involve serving exceptional food, but people crave an experience instead. Consequently, many chefs compromise their love for cooking and succumb to pressure, sidelining their culinary artistry. Soon, a Coast Guard officer arrives, and Slowick warns everyone against revealing the truth to the officer. The officer informs Slowick about a complaint regarding multiple murders at the location. However, Slowick skillfully reassures the officer that everything is under control. The officer recognizes the movie star among the guests and requests an autograph, creating an opportunity for the guests to confide in the officer about the true events. To their dismay, it is revealed that the officer's gun is fake, leading the restaurant staff to burst into laughter. Slowick discloses that the officer is actually one of his chefs disguised as the Coast Guard and acknowledges that he knows Erin attempted to seek help. Slowick proceeds to serve the final course, but Erin devises a plan. She declares that she didn't enjoy his food and wants to send it back. This provokes Slowick, and he demands to know what she didn't like about his food. Erin criticizes Slowick for removing the joy from eating, emphasizing that his dishes were intellectual exercises rather than something to be savored and enjoyed. She claims that the food lacks the love and passion that should accompany a meal. Finally, Erin declares that Slowick not only failed to impress her but also bored her, leaving her still hungry. This deeply wounds the chef's ego, prompting him to inquire about Erin's desired meal. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Erin boldly requests a traditional American cheeseburger with fries. Enraged, Slowick retreats to the kitchen to prepare the requested meal. As he cooks, memories of his happier and more cheerful past flood his mind. After a while, the burger is ready, and Slowick serves it to Erin. Surprisingly, she absolutely loves it and commends Slowick's cooking. This moment becomes the pinnacle of Slowick's happiness, marking the first time in decades that he feels true joy. Erin then requests to take the remaining portion of the burger as a takeaway. Slowick contemplates momentarily before agreeing to package the remaining food. Relieved internally, Erin leaves a tip for Slowick before departing. As she briefly pauses to observe the other guests, she contemplates whether she should leave them to their fate. However, Erin encourages her to save herself. After Erin's departure, Slowick expresses his gratitude to the remaining guests for dining, revealing that each of them represents the destruction of his art and life. They now become part of what he hopes will be a masterpiece. Slowick and his team of chefs prepare the final dish, incorporating each guest who has finally accepted their fate. Ultimately, Slowick ignites a fire, engulfing himself and everyone else in flames. Meanwhile, Erin escapes the island on a boat as Hawthorne Restaurant burns down a blazing inferno.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe and give this video a like. Goodbye.